You're standing in the Apple Store, staring at the latest iPhone. Sure, your current phone works just fine, the battery's maybe a bit sluggish, and there's that hairline crack across the screen, but it still does everything you need. Yet somehow, you've already convinced yourself this upgrade is necessary. It's for work, you tell yourself. It's basically a productivity investment. Before you know it, you've handed over $1,200 for the new iPhone Pro Max Titanium, and you're walking out feeling like $1,000,000. Success feels good, doesn't it? But here's where things get interesting. You slide into your car, pull out that shiny new phone, and just admire it for a second. It's gorgeous, all sleek lines and futuristic design. Then your eyes drift to that old, frayed charging cable dangling from your dashboard, and suddenly it looks absolutely pathetic next to your new tech masterpiece. There's no way you're plugging this beautiful piece of engineering into some beat-up $5 gas station cable. So naturally, you grab the new MagSafe charger, another $40 gone. When you get home and set the phone on your nightstand, you notice your cheap plastic case looks absolutely ridiculous against all that premium titanium. You need the leather case, $60 more. Oh, and those old wired headphones? Yeah, they're not going to cut it anymore. To really unlock the full experience, you need the AirPods Pro. That's another $250. In less than 48 hours, that $1,200 purchase has silently morphed into $1,600, and the crazy part, you barely even registered it happening. Now, before you beat yourself up about being terrible with money, hear me out. This isn't about you lacking financial discipline. What you just experienced is a psychological chain reaction so powerful it's destroyed more wealth than any stock market crash ever could. It's the same phenomenon that explains why lottery winners often end up bankrupt and why that dream house can quickly become a financial hellscape. It's called the Diderot effect. I'm Bobby, and on this channel, we dig into the invisible psychological scripts that quietly drain our bank accounts. Most people believe they buy things because they actually need them. Today, I'm going to show you something wild. You're buying things because your other possessions are literally demanding them. If you're ready to break this cycle and actually hold on to your hard-earned money, go ahead and hit that like button. Now, let me tell you the fascinating story of a man who lost everything over a bathrobe. To really understand why we can't seem to stop spending money, we need to take a little trip back in time, all the way to France in 1765. Let me introduce you to Denis Diderot, a brilliant philosopher who co-founded the encyclopedia. Despite his intellectual fame, Diderot was broke, like seriously broke. He lived modestly, wearing worn-out clothes, walking on threadbare rugs, sitting on a wobbly wooden chair in his dusty library. But here's the thing, he was genuinely happy, content even. Then everything changed when Catherine the Great, the Empress of Russia herself, heard about his money troubles. She was a huge fan of his work, so she made him an incredible offer. She'd buy his entire library for a fortune, roughly $50,000 in today's money, while letting him keep all the books. Just like that, Diderot went from broke to rich. So what did he do with his newfound wealth? Exactly what you or I would probably do. He treated himself. He went out and bought this absolutely stunning scarlet dressing gown, a luxurious robe fit for royalty. He brought it home, slipped it on, and caught his reflection in the mirror. He looked elegant, wealthy, successful. But when he sat down at his desk to write, something started gnawing at him. The robe was magnificent, sure, but his desk, it was scratched up, rotting in places, covered in old ink stains. The contrast was jarring, almost painful to look at. The desk simply didn't match the elegance of his new robe, so he did what felt natural. He replaced it. He bought himself a beautiful mahogany writing table. When he sat down again, the robe and desk looked perfect together. But then his eyes drifted to the floor and he realized his old threadbare rug looked like an absolute rag compared to that gorgeous mahogany table. It was practically insulting to the room. So he bought a plush, expensive Damascus rug. You can probably guess what happened next. The new rug made his curtains look cheap, so he replaced the curtains. The curtains made his chair look like firewood ready for burning, so he bought a leather armchair. Then came new paintings, sculptures, mirrors. He spent months obsessing over making everything in his study harmonize with the quality of that scarlet robe. And when all was said and done, Denis Diderot was broke again. He later wrote a famous essay called Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown, and in it he penned this haunting line: I was the absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become a slave to my new one. This, my friends, is the Diderot effect. When you introduce a new possession into your life, it often triggers a spiraling process of consumption. We like to think we own our things, but the uncomfortable truth is that our things own us. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, Bobby, that's a nice story about some French philosopher from 300 years ago, but I don't wear scarlet robes. How does this actually apply to my life? Well, it applies to you every single day. And here's the scary part. The Diderot effect is actually way more dangerous now than it was back in 1765. Why? Because modern marketing has weaponized it with surgical precision. Let's look at what I call the fitness identity spiral. Say you decide it's time to get in shape. You buy yourself a Peloton bike. That's a serious commitment, maybe $1,500. You tell yourself, this is an investment in my health, and you genuinely mean it. But then the bike arrives and you hop on for your first ride wearing your old baggy cotton t-shirt and those gym shorts from high school. You look at the instructors on the screen, they're all decked out in sleek athletic gear, and suddenly you don't look like a cyclist. More importantly, you don't feel like one. So you order the specialized cycling shoes. That's $150. Then you grab some moisture-wicking compression shorts for $80, followed by a branded tank top for another $50. But wait, now the bike looks cluttered sitting in your messy living room. You need to create a proper Zen workout space, right? So you buy a yoga mat, some dumbbells, maybe even a new smart TV to cast those workouts onto a bigger screen. Before you know it, you haven't just bought a bike, you've bought an entire identity. And this is the core psychology behind the Diderot effect, our deep need for identity consistency. Here's the thing about being human. We crave consistency. We desperately want our external world to line up with our internal self-image. When you buy a high-status item, maybe a luxury car or a designer handbag, you're not just buying an object, you're upgrading your identity. Think about it this way. If you see yourself as a Honda Civic person, you're totally comfortable throwing on jeans and grabbing a burger at McDonald's. But the moment you stretch your budget to buy a Porsche, you fundamentally shifted who you are. You're now a Porsche person. And Porsche people don't wear scratched up sunglasses. They don't furnish their homes with cheap IKEA furniture. They definitely don't eat dinner off paper plates. The car becomes what I call an anchor item. It sets a completely new baseline for your entire life. Every other possession that falls below that baseline creates this uncomfortable psychological tension. It just feels wrong, doesn't it? So to relieve that tension, you start upgrading everything else. The car demands you upgrade your wardrobe. The wardrobe demands you upgrade your vacation destinations. Those vacation spots demand you upgrade your luggage. And here's the kicker. You're not spending this money because you genuinely want to. You're spending it to maintain coherence in the story you're telling yourself and the world. This is exactly why that fake it till you make it advice can be financially toxic. If you fake it by buying a Rolex before you can actually afford one, that watch is going to demand a matching suit, a car to go with it, and dinner tabs that will slowly but surely bankrupt you. Let me break down what I call the chain reaction cost. Most people calculate the cost of an item in complete isolation. They look at the price tag and think, can I afford this $500 item? But that's the completely wrong way to think about it. You need to calculate the full chain reaction cost. Let me give you a classic example. Home renovation. You decide to renovate your kitchen. You budget $10,000 for new cabinets, which seems pretty reasonable, right? But once those beautiful new white modern cabinets are installed, something happens. Your yellowish 10-year-old refrigerator suddenly looks absolutely disgusting compared to the new cabinets. Sure, it works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it functionally, but visually, it clashes horribly. It breaks that consistency we talked about. So you drop $2,000 on a sleek stainless steel refrigerator. Now your fridge and cabinets look amazing together, modern and cohesive. But when you glance down to the floor, your old vinyl flooring looks cheap and dated. The contrast becomes unbearable. You can't unsee it now. So you rip up the floor and install hardwood. There goes another $5,000. At this point, your kitchen looks like something straight out of a magazine. It's absolutely stunning, but here's the problem. You have an open concept house, so when you're standing in your gorgeous new kitchen and you glance into the living room, suddenly the living room looks like a complete disaster zone. That old brown sofa looks sad and depressing. The paint on the walls look dull and lifeless. The kitchen renovation has leaked into your living room and you can't stand the disconnect anymore. You end up painting the entire downstairs and buying a new sectional. The final cost? It wasn't $10,000, it was $35,000. Those $10,000 cabinets or your scarlet robe, the anchor that made everything else look inadequate. If you had just kept your old cabinets, you never would have even noticed that floor. You never would have hated the fridge. You were happy with them before. The upgrade created the dissatisfaction. This brings us to a terrifying realization. Upgrades are often downgrades in disguise. When Ditto had his old robe, he didn't worry about ink stains. He used it to wipe his pen. It was functional. He was the master of it. When he got the new robe, he became terrified of ruining it. He became stiff. He lost his freedom. When you buy a new, brand new, expensive white couch, you stop letting your friends drink red wine in the living room. You stop letting the dog jump up. You stop living in your living room because you are servicing the object. You become the curator of a museum, not the resident of a home. So, how do we stop this? How do we break a psychological pattern that is hardwired into our brains? We can't just live in a cave and never buy anything nice. That's not realistic. But we can build firewalls to stop the spiral. Here is my 3-step defense strategy against the Ditto effect. Strategy number 1, predict the chain reaction. Before you buy any upgrade item, a new car, a new console, a new suit, you must pause and ask yourself, what else will this item demand? If you buy the PS5, will it demand a 4K TV to see the graphics properly? Will it demand an extra controller? Will it demand a subscription to PlayStation Plus? Write down the full system cost, not just the item cost. If the PS5 is $500, but the system cost is $1,500, can you afford the $1,500? If the answer is no, do not buy the anchor item. You are inviting a vampire into your house. Strategy number 2, the buy one, give one rule. The Ditto effect thrives on accumulation. We add the new thing, but we keep the old things, and then we try to make them match. You need to cap your inventory. If you buy a new pair of sneakers, an old pair must leave the house. Donate it, sell it, or trash it. If you buy a new toaster, the old toaster goes. This forces you to value what you have. It prevents you from building a shrine of possessions. It keeps you in the mindset of a user, not a collector. Strategy number 3, practice strategic downgrading. This is the nuclear option, but it works. Sometimes the only way to reset your baseline is to deliberately downgrade a visible part of your life. Drive a slightly older car than you can afford. Wear a watch that is simple and functional. When your anchor items are humble, you feel zero pressure to upgrade everything else. If you drive a beat-up Toyota truck, nobody expects you to wear a $2,000 suit. You have freedom. You can wear jeans, you can eat a burrito in the car. By keeping your status symbols low, you lower the required cost of the rest of your life. You create a low-maintenance identity. And let me tell you, a low-maintenance identity is the most profitable asset you can own. It allows you to stack cash while everyone else is busy curating their museum. Look, there is nothing wrong with nice things. I like nice things, but you have to understand the game you are playing. Consumerism is designed to make you feel incomplete. It is designed to make you feel that you were just one purchase away from happiness. But Ditto taught us the truth 300 years ago. That one purchase doesn't finish the puzzle. It scrambles the puzzle. It resets the board and forces you to start over. Don't be a slave to your robe. Be the master of your life. If you want to know more about how to build real wealth that doesn't rely on showing off, check out this video right here where I break down the coast fire method we talked about last time. And if this video saved you from making a stupid purchase this week, hit the like button. Subscribe to Bobby for more financial sanity. I'll see you in the next one. Don't buy the robe.